Hello there and welcome to my minimalist phone setup, both in terms of its aesthetics and functionality. This is what's on my Android smartphone for 2023. If you just want to see a quick walkthrough for some inspiration, I'll give you that overview so that you don't need to sit through the entire video. I've also put timestamps for the different segments so you can skip to something that might be of particular interest to you. I always use my own wallpapers, and you can download my Lego wallpapers for free with the first link in the description. Below that link I also put my list of useful apps and my text on how to reduce screen time, so yeah, there's that. Now if you want extra details on the technical aspects of how I made this and hear my thought process about why I've made it this way, let's start that walkthrough. Let's just quickly go through the hardware first. I'm using a red Samsung Galaxy S20 FE, an upper mid-range phone from 2021. I bought it in 2022 and I won't need to upgrade for years. These more budget-oriented options have become so good recently. I'm also often using it with a slightly modified bumper case to give it a bit of protection. Before we even turn on the phone, we can see an always-on display. I like to have the time, some calendar events, and notifications always visible. The notifications I've kept turned on are mostly useful, so it makes me check my phone less than if I would have had no indication of whether I have a new notification or not. Powering on the phone will greet us with this black and white lock screen. The wallpaper is a Sky Night photograph I took a long time ago. If it's an option, I think it's useful to include some kind of contact information if your phone would happen to get lost. For the lock screen shortcuts, I have configured it to toggle on the flashlight and the do not disturb mode. And if I swipe up from the bottom, I get my Samsung Pay cards. This is where the fun begins. I've been using Nova Launcher Prime for years now. For beginners, that's the home screen launcher app that has allowed me to do all this customization. For reference, this is approximately what a Samsung phone would look like out of the box. I further customized some additional elements with Samsung's phone app Good Luck. On the top of the main page is a Google at a glance widget showing the weather and in this case the date as well. Here you can also see that I've hidden the notification bar for a more immersive look. Below that is a quote widget from the appropriately named app Quotes widget. Every now and then, or once tapped, it changes to a new random quote from a database, or from quotes that you've selected yourself. Aside from the occasional food for thought, I also think that it looks good to have in the peripheral. In the middle is a search bar, or actually there are two search bars. One for a quick search on Google and the other one opens Chrome. And it has some additional actions that I don't really use, except for Google Lens, which I found to be impressively good. It even recognized some of my own unique Lego creations. I've placed most of the usable items easily reachable at the bottom of the screen. We have 6 folders with 9 apps in each. We have Creative with the main apps I use for creating content on my phone. Intellectual with material for studying, writing and reading. Tools for useful app, I'll show you some of them towards the end when I also share my favorite apps. Professional, where I have some work-related communication, and a pair of online marketplaces. Personal for additional contacts and finance, and media for the games I occasionally check and really the only social media apps I use. These folders are actually Lego pieces. With Nova launchers and many other launchers, they allow you to select a picture as the app icon or the folder icon. Additionally, I've set a swipe action on the 4 folders in the corner to quickly access some extra useful apps. The middle folder don't have any swipe up action to leave room for accessing the app drawer. This is a place for apps that are handy to have but that I don't use very frequently. In these 4 folders I have stored apps that I very rarely use or that are already on the home screen. I wouldn't want these apps to repeat in the app drawer. I don't have any social media apps here. I've hidden Facebook, Reddit, Twitter and TikTok, especially TikTok, to only be accessible through a search. With this system of apps, I'm usually 2 clicks away from the apps I use the most, a swipe up and some scanning for apps that I occasionally use, and a search for most social media apps in order to make the usage more intentional. Swiping to the left or the right will take us to a page with a Google Calendar widget and a Chrome bookmark widget. I've also put an extra bookmark widget underneath to visually connect the widgets. It serves no practical use, but I think it looks good. Anyway, These widgets are quite self-explanatory. I like having bookmarks to some useful websites and some less useful websites. And the calendar widget gives me a good overview of what's going on, and if I tap on any day, it will open that day within the app. The last thing to check out here is the notification panel. I find a lot of these quick settings to be quite useful, so I have 2 pages of them. The red scheme was done with Samsung's theming services. Among them we have screen recorders. One of them is running right now and hopefully still works. This caffeine mode, which keeps the screen awake, and a color inversion, which can be fun to play with. A filter that's more useful though is a grayscale filter. If you want to decrease your screen time, this is one of the tips that I listed in the text linked below. Not only does it make the phone less appealing, but it also acts as a reminder to be intentional with your phone usage. It can be toggled on and off with a button shortcut. Before we end the video, let's do a rapid fire round of 10 somewhat unique and really useful apps that I use. Tiles, an app which can add some useful quick toggles in the notification panel. Clockify for tracking the time you spend on certain activities. Loop Habit, a habit tracker with minimalistic design and sticky notifications as reminder to track progress. Note-in, speaking of sticky notifications, this app allows you to write notes to your notification panel. And the Pro version unlocks sticky notes that you won't accidentally swipe away. Sleep as Android, partly an alarm clock that I've set up to only dismiss the alarm if I scan an NFC tag that I've placed in the kitchen. Kindle. You don't need to buy a Kindle device to read electronic books. You can just download the app on your phone and try out some free classical books. Notion, the all-around note-taking app and the centerpiece of my workflow. However, the mobile app is not nearly as good as the PC version. So I've added a shortcut to the web-based version and I find it to work a bit better. Clipped for transferring copied text between devices. So if I copy something on the computer, it goes to this clipboard on my phone and vice versa. Gboard, Google's keyboard app. For some, this is an obvious must-have apps, while others maybe haven't considered third-party keyboards. YouTube Advanced, an app that can't be found on the Play Store, but it's basically a modded YouTube application that allows you to play videos in picture-in-picture mode. But more importantly to me, play the videos with the phone off so that I can listen to videos. And as a bonus, Minimal Screen Recorder, the app that I'm using to capture these screen recordings. And that's the setup. Hopefully you got some inspiration for your own setups, and let us know if you have any tips and tricks for setting up an optimal phone. Let's remember, our phones are incredibly powerful tools that can be used to enhance our lives, but they're also great sources of distractions, and minimalism is about intentionality. So we can design our phones to serve the purposes we want it to serve, and if we can manage that, I believe that we can have a healthy relationship with tech. Thanks for watching, and peace out.